right, so we're going to get Margaret and Margaret back to the table. We're going to get started right now. All right. And Linda's coming back to the table. You can grab a pop, grab some dessert, bring it back to your table, wherever you need.
No problem.
You're in for a real treat now.
Lots of fancy French terms from the Egyptian guy.
But can you say that?
I'm not sure myself, actually. We're going to just fake it till we make it, I suppose.
But it's not Macedonia.
My mom was from Macedonia.
Does she know that?
Close. Macedonia. Oh, hey, I saw her.
Linda? Yeah, no, she's over there.
But I know what I want to know too.
Just wait till somebody else comes back.
Oh, where'd you get the hot water?
Fine, go quickly.
The hot water's back there. There's just no milk. But it's coming.
It's coming.
They said it's coming. Yeah, you can't have milk without tea.
I bet you did not think that this would be harder to rein
Oh,
in.
well, I agree with that. And according to my son, you also need a huge amount of
They
sugar.
need to do an on-time draw.
I don't have to do that. But is this the new one? Is this our new book or the old one?
No, this is the old one. I just want to give that to Raina so she had a copy of it. Okay, we're going to get started now. I want to introduce our very special guest. Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
I haven't had a drink. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe that's what's wrong.
Yeah, no thanks. This is how I always am, which is the crazy thing. So yeah. All right. This is Chef Shahir. He is a graduate from New York University's Schulich School of Business.
Oh my God.
Yes. And then he finally
Wait till the
realized
rest
that
of the
he was
story.
not capable of sitting in a cubicle.
Yeah.
No way.
So, following several comical attempts at having a desk job, he pursued his true passion, moved to New York City, and enrolled in the famed French Culinary Institute.
Cool.
While in New York, he worked in the kitchens of Mario Batali, Jean-Georges von Gerichten at the Mark Hotel.
I just called him Jean.
Okay, great. And Saveur magazine. Upon his return home, he helmed the kitchen at Sink 01, where Toronto awarded him a very good review, making him one of the youngest chefs to ever achieve that feat. And then moved on to become the corporate executive chef of the Culinary Adventure Company, overseeing all culinary aspects for each guest experience. Shahir has since moved on to form Black Sheep Pop-Up Company as a way of creating unparalleled, unique dining experiences for enthusiastic food lovers, which we are. And the pop-up format allows for the creation of a one-of-a-kind menus and events that suit each client's own idea of the perfect dining experience. So honored to have him here. He's going to show us some amazing knife skills. And
I'm older than I look. Don't worry. She's looking at me like, who's this? I got the grays coming in. You got to get the right angle and the light, and you'll see like 4. So it's starting. Maybe 6 now. Recent breakup and all. Thank you guys for having me. I always love doing stuff like this. This is a lot of fun. I guess you got my bio. That's pretty much it. We were just chatting that the last time I was in a break room like this, I was kind of causing a lot of trouble as a board accountant, which was a bad career choice for me. So I changed things up after consistently, what was it called? Consistently getting fired. So, yeah. A lot of practical jokes and nonsense happening. But when it was time to learn the craft of cooking and to really shape up, that's when I found my passion, found my stride, and here we are. So we're going to do a little knife skills today, which is probably the most popular class that I teach, and I teach a lot of different classes, but this is the most popular because really the root of everything that we do in the kitchen starts with the knife. I mean, the first couple days of any culinary school, it's exclusively knife skills. So we're talking about the first 2, 3, 4, 5, almost first week is just knife skills, doing stuff like this, perfecting the shapes, the cuts, and really getting used to this unnatural feeling of tucking back our fingers and cutting, because this really is rather unnatural. You instinctively want to grab things with your fingertips. I don't know what that is, if that's like the opposable thumb thing, like that separates us from an orangutan, I don't know. But we want to hold things like this, and it makes me nervous when people go like this, and they're just like my mom, that's what she does. I'm like, man, this is not going to end well. And for some reason, she still has all of her fingers. But you know when you see someone chopping like that, and you're sweating now. You're like, no, please don't. And sometimes they do. But that really is at the base of what we do. And the first few days of any culinary school, you just have a room of youngish people going like this. because you're getting used to it. You're still getting, it's just, you look around the room and it's just people grabbing their hands like this and looking around like, oh God, did anyone see that? And there's like blood flowing. Anyways, but it just takes time. There's no other way to say it. You know, it takes time to get used to tucking back your fingers, using your knuckle, and knowing where your knife is at all times. And of course, getting used to controlling your knife so that you can create these shapes, which is important. You know, you need consistency so everything cooks evenly, so it looks good, all those things. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to walk you through a couple of these shapes, these terms, these fancy French terms. Again, from the Egyptian guy, which is funny. You know? So really, what we're talking about here is there is a term designated just for turning things into shapes like this. It's taillage. We're doing our taillage. So the French, as serious as they are about cuisine, even have a term for turning things into shapes, okay? So anyone else would probably say, okay, we're going to make it into a stick. No, we're doing our taillage today, okay? So probably the most common shapes of, probably the most common shapes we're going to talk about are a macédoine and a brunoise. So in any kitchen, if any chef says to you, you know what, I need a brunoise of carrot, you should know what that means, okay? Now Ashley actually sent me a couple Cutco knives, which I got to tell you, and we got to talk Rancha. They're amazing knives. I have to say, I didn't think they would be. But that's amazing. I mean, Ashley sent me these knives, and they're incredible. They have a good weight, they're sharp, and for some reason, as a professional, we always think Japanese, German knives. You know, I never thought of Cutco. I thought, you know, it's door to door or whatever, but these are really quality knives. So you have a great product on your hands here, and it's going to make it easy for me to show you how. Yes, please. It's going to make it easy for me to show it off a little bit here. Now, another thing about the knives before we get started, and I'll tell you a quick story about my first time in a New York City restaurant, which was my second day in the city, and I knocked on Mayor Batali's door and said, you know, I want to work here for free. I'll do whatever it takes. And he said, fine. My first day in the restaurant, I'm down there in the prep kitchen. I'm not even allowed anywhere close to a stove, okay? I'm in the basement, and we're just chopping away. I see these guys down there in the basement, and in a New York City kitchen, they're all hardworking Mexicans, okay? And they're just like motoring along because they've developed, obviously, over the years, this instinct. The knife is always touching their knuckle, and they're talking, they're literally dancing, and they're just like, you know. So I thought I have to do this to fit in, right? I lost half of my thumb that day. On my first day, it grew back. Okay. On my first day, because I didn't have that instinct yet. I didn't practice having the knife always touching my knuckle. Even this isn't really doing anything. A lot of people, they think, well, my knuckles are back, and I'm holding my celery stalk back here, and I'm chopping up here. But you don't really know where your knife is. You have to be touching your knuckle. You have to be constantly, and it's unnatural at first. It is super unnatural, which is why if you want to develop a really high set of knife skills, the beginning is going to be, you know, you're going to have a couple Band-Aids. That's just the way it goes. But, you know, it's all about practice. And I hate to say it, it just takes time. And it takes a big bag of potatoes or turnips or whatever's on sale, and you just do it, okay? So we're going to get started, and of course, the first thing we want to do with anything, and I'm going to start with the jardinière turning into a macédoine, which is a little bit of a larger cube, and then we'll go into a julienne and turn it into a brunoise, which is probably a more common cut than a macédoine. What? What? No good?
New language.
Are you French? Can you help me?
Polish.
You're Polish. I don't know what the. Anyway. So first things first, and I know you guys have been doing this for a lot of years, so forgive me if I'm oversimplifying, but just to be safe, first things first, we want to square things off. Because again, this is what my mother does. She'll keep things rolling around on the cutting board, and her hand is like this, and she's going at it like. So whoa. It sounds so obvious, but you want to make things flat and even. So the first thing I'm going to do is just create a flat edge for my potato. And a potato is a nice thing to show off the different shapes. Now we're fairly square, okay? It's making me nervous.
That's not a good thing with Cutco.
It's not, right? Or a room full of women. So this is a little bit of our larger cut. And the first cut that you make, okay, the first tranche, if you will, is going to determine the thickness of your cube. Okay? So if I want to make a smaller brunoise, I'm going to make the first cut a little bit smaller, but here I want a little bit of a thicker cube, so the first cut is a little bit thicker. Okay? And then we square it off. Always touching my knuckle, eh? Because that's what we want to do. I need to know where my knife is. You don't see, I'm not holding it back here and going like that. Which a lot of people think they're doing the right thing because this is happening. Well, I could chop the top of my knuckle too. I've seen that. It's not pretty. So these are the larger cubes called a Macedon. Okay? I don't know if they can see.
Yeah, we
Should
do.
I?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
You can see it? Yeah?
If anybody wants to go up, we can.
Sure. Or I'll do a brunoise first as well, and then you'll see the difference. But a Macedon is about, you know, 0.5 millimeter or whatever. A bit of a larger cube. And it is, to be honest with you, it is a little unnatural still using this knife because the knife that you use, and this is a good thing to tell your potential customers, the knife that you use should feel like an extension of your hand. It should feel like the weight, and you know how it rocks and everything like this. So while this is still a relatively new knife for me, it still feels like I'm cheating on my girlfriend. It still feels like I'm cheating on my wife because I have one at home, okay? And that's my, although this one's better. It's important to develop that relationship with your knife. You have to feel comfortable. It has to feel like an extension of your hand. To the point where, again, when I was just starting in those New York restaurants, I didn't know the rules of the kitchen. When I took someone else's knife to do a quick task, that's a big no-no. Like, they'll cut you. You cannot touch someone else's knife. Your knife is your partner, okay? Which I guess you guys have a lifetime guarantee, which is good. Because forever guarantee.
Forever.
So it's forever then.
Just to be clear.
Your
Gotcha.
children's children can have transferable.
My children's children can use this knife.
I met a customer and she
Forever.
had her grandmother's Cutco. I have it on my booth, and they gave her, yeah, it's 50 years old.
Wow.
She inherited them.
Really?
Yeah. They go in divorce settlements. It's a pretty big deal.
Oh, it's big. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
I had a guy buy some from me yesterday.
So if there's a child I don't know about out there, they're gonna have a nice knife. You never know. Okay, so I've created, again, a nice flat surface, so I'm not rocking and rolling
Are you
around.
always making anything round square?
I'm sorry?
Do you always make things round square first?
At least you want to create, yeah, you want to create a flat edge.
Yeah, the flat surface, but you're going all the way around, so that's because of.
Oh, no, that's just for,
Okay, okay.
you know, you could just create one kind of flat surface and go from there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I use.
But we really want to accentuate the
The
cube
cube.
shape and show
Okay.
the different sizes.
Why do chefs always want their knife to be balanced, or why do they always say that? Because we get that at the booth all the time. They're like, "Oh, this knife isn't balanced." Like, why is that a factor at all?
It's not really a factor for me, and it's not really a
Exactly.
factor for a lot of chefs that I know. To be honest, the biggest factor really that I've experienced and that I feel is the feel. Everyone's hand is different. Everyone's weight. Some people like a heavier knife. Some people like a lighter knife.
Mhm.
Some people like a longer knife.
Yeah.
So
I've
the
never
balance
understood
thing,
why
I
they
never
say
really
that.
understood myself. I don't really think it's relevant.
Yeah.
It's really more about hand feel and grip. And that's another thing, actually, I should have started. Some people hold their knife like that. Again, I'm going to say my mother. She really can't cook me. She, you know, is doing one of these. No good. Other people hold their knife like this.
Yeah, that's what you say about. Terrible.
It's not good. You have no control, really, of what you're doing. You think you do, okay? It's good for a tennis racket grip. But you really have no control over what you're doing. You want to choke up on it a little bit. And we'll get a little close up here. Your thumb is over there, and I'm holding it. Like, I have control of where this knife is going. We're going to get into it with the onion a little closer. When I start, I can control it by the tip. I can control it when I rock it. I have full control, and it feels, well, not yet, but it will when I use it more. It feels like an extension of my hand. I have complete control of where the tip is going, when I'm rocking it, everything. So this isn't going to do, really. That's not really going to do. And, you know, a lot of people are opting for this, and it should be a little bit choked up. Your thumb on that side, and your index on that side. And now you have control. Now it feels like, you know, it's part of you. That's why I feel like I'm cheating on them. So now we're going to do a brunoise, and the first tranche is gonna be a little bit thinner, because again, that's gonna determine the cube shape that we have with this knife. Any other feedback from the customers, from chefs, or regarding?
Well, chefs, the way that you're, so I know that all chefs I've ever met use your knife like you are, with you're holding the blade.
Yep.
But I've told my clients, if I look at the way your hand is right now, and you slide your hand back a little bit to our universal wedge lock, it's actually what you're doing.
Like this?
Uh-huh. But that's how it's designed to be held by.
Oh, I hear you.
But that's what you're actually doing. Like if you slide forward, you're doing that,
Yeah,
Just a
I guess
little
it's the
bit.
same, yeah.
but it's more comfy, like a little. See, feel the other way. Doesn't that feel so? No, see, it's what you're used to.
That's what I'm
But
used to.
chefs, when we meet them, they want to do that.
We wanna choke up, yeah.
But see, most customers put their finger here, and I'm telling them like that
Where, up
universal
here?
wedge lock. Yeah, that's horrid.
That's horrid, that's
It
no
lets
good.
them move back so that they can feel like they're holding to something.
Right. It's, I guess it's the same idea. The reason why, again, I like to choke up is because now I'm, like, you know, I'm literally gripping the blade,
Right.
okay? It's still, to be honest, it's still a comfortable knife to hold. Right? I wouldn't lie to you. It feels pretty good. But I just feel like, and maybe this is just going back to training or
Well, it's what you
I'm
learned,
used to.
and all
Yeah.
chefs seem to learn to do
I
that.
have control here.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I know where my blade is going, okay?
Okay.
But if you tell your clients, you know, holding it there, it's definitely better than
Well,
that
right,
and
and
that.
it makes them remember this is where I hold the knife.
Right.
I think that, there's a big difference though, if you got somebody who's using this knife
Yes.
for 15 minutes,
Totally.
one
Sure.
day versus,
All day long.
there's no question, once you become comfortable with it, blade gripping is good. But most of our customers
Would
are
never
scared to
do
death
that.
to even think about it.
Yeah, that would be
And
terrifying.
To hold it up here, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
they're not gonna-
terrifying.
And they're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go at that kind of speed, so it's,
Yeah.
Sure,
that's
sure.
where the handle was designed.
And their objectives are different. I
But
mean,
as
look,
you become more comfortable, you'll start, but I don't think you're gonna find many of our customers that will.
Yeah, they're gonna hold the handle.
They're
Your
gonna- they
customers
wanna be as far
also
away from the blade as possible.
probably don't have to go
They wanna be
through.
like your mother, you know?
Oh,
Most
yeah.
of them, like most of them are
Right.
using a paring knife right now. Period. You know,
They're not using a paring knife.
That's
They
all
are,
they use,
that's
and
all
they
they
come
use.
on the
That's all
board, and then they come to the booth. They're like, "My paring knife style." I'm like, "Do you use it on the board?" Yeah. Like, well, it's not supposed to. And they look at you like I just told them, like they're shocked.
Right, right, right.
Because their grandmother told them, "You cut in your hand or on a board."
Cause I use the handle like the way Linda showed, the way we do.
Like this way,
Yeah.
No, like, yeah,
like here. Yeah.
where you
but
grip
with
the
our
hand.
handle, without touching the blade.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
And I have complete control over it.
I
And I
mean-
find that's how our handle is comfortable, and that's how I show my customers to use it because.
I can't imagine that the customers have to go through like with great speed and efficiency that
Exactly.
you
No,
would in a
not at
professional
all.
kitchen. So I would say that this is fine. I would say that the biggest takeaway that you want to give to your clients is to learn this.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
For
That's
sure.
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And that this, that's just not doing it. Like, you know, you have to really learn.
But I'm happy to know, like, you find that, because then customers tell me, chefs say, but then when I choke up, because it's got the bigger, thick part, they don't feel that that's comfortable for a chef's hand, but you're saying it's comfy.
It's inherently unnatural. This. You're
Right.
saying like this action?
No,
No,
the
the
way
choke.
you're
Oh, this.
holding it, yeah, chefs always tell me, well, now it's too bulky here and it's not comfortable, and then they don't
I
want
think
it.
this is okay. I mean, this isn't going to harm you really. This is better again than the alternative.
But you're
This is
comfy,
more
I just wanna know, like, as a chef, you're comfy with that in here like that.
Choking up, you mean?
Yeah, cause chefs
Yeah.
tell me, with ours now it's not, okay.
I like it. Then
I'm
again,
gonna
I have a
say
small
Chef
girly
Shahir
hand.
told me.
So there is a function of that. I do have a very small, effeminate hand with long piano player fingers. But
So, as a chef, are there any requirements? What kind of brand do you have to buy, or
well,
that,
this
that
is
chefs
this was
are
the surprising
recommending?
thing. Again, when Ashley sent me the Cutco knife, chefs tend to prefer either Japanese, German. I'm the same. But then, so I'm being honest, I did not have a high expectation of the Cutco knife. And she sent it to me, and I took it to a client. I was catering a dinner party. I said, you know, I'm going to take it to my client, and maybe I'll beat it up or whatever. And I started slicing through chive, and I was like, whoa,
Nice.
that's sharp. Like, it was really surprising. So,
I find that chefs are creatures of habits like everybody else, and
Right.
basically when they got trained on a certain brand and a handle, that's what they expect.
Yeah.
that's
And
what they
if,
expect.
If
Agreed.
they'll get this handle, just like, oh no, this is crap. This
Yeah.
is not mine.
But that's why, I mean, it doesn't feel natural to me yet.
Yeah.
But it feels good in my hand. I'm very surprised by how sharp it is, by the weight, the balance, if you will, sir. It feels good in my hand, anyways. But I understand what you're saying. There are a lot of chefs who would just say, it's not mine, and like, I don't want it.
So it wouldn't matter what we're showing them, it's not what they like.
Probably not.
Right.
For a lot of them, anyways. But
It's too much effort to try and break their habit.
Well, I'm gonna change the subject a little
Sure.
bit, but for the average home cook who's using the knife and the way you're cutting, these
Yep.
techniques that you're using, could you talk a little bit about why these techniques are important to a home chef? What, I mean, the difference that it can make in your
Sure.
cooking process?
in terms of the technique with the shapes,
Well, and just the uniformness of the dice.
Oh, sure. well, the uniformity is important for cooking time. Everything has to cook evenly. So sometimes you'll see someone chopping something up, and they're all sorts of different shapes. You know,
Mhm.
they're going to cook at different times.
Right.
But also how it looks. It sounds silly, but you know, like that looks pretty good.
Mhm.
Thank you, thank you.
That is beautiful.
You.
You know, sometimes it's about looks as well. It's about presentation. And when I was working at Jean Georges, like when we chopped shallot for a vinaigrette, the shallot had to be a perfect brunoise because, God forbid, if someone spotted a shallot in a vinaigrette, that, you know, sometimes when you chop shallots, you have the little tail attached to it or whatever. So sometimes it's just about look, you know, presentation. But really the most important thing is cooking time. Because then what do you do? If I'm cooking even something as simple as carrots, and some carrots are smaller or bigger and larger,
Right. You get
one of them will be
some-
undercooked, one will be overcooked.
Right.
So uniformity, you know, being uniform is important.
Good point.
Presentation.
And to be honest with you, at a professional level, it's important at the very beginning just for the discipline, just so it's about consistency and doing things the right way and doing it over and over again. But for your clientele, I mean, they're not professionals. That's less important than the message that this is about even cooking
Hmm.
and presentation.
I find for most of them, it's just about knowing how to use the right knife for the right thing.
Yeah.
Well, sure, and I hear what you're saying. I mean, I understand that some people use paring knives for everything,
Yeah.
or, you know,
'Cause
I had a client who used scissors for things. I was doing
Okay.
another demo for a different company the other day, and he said, well, have you ever cut up chicken with scissors? I said, no, sir. Why? No, of course I haven't. But, you know,
But-
I think it's important to tell clients that, look, a lot of the tasks that they can do can be done with a chef knife.
Well, because a lot of them don't know.
A lot of them
right?
don't know.
'Cause
They
I had
don't
a
know
customer, she
super
had a full
shoes.
homemaker, which is one of our big sets, and that's the knife that a lot of people, if they just use paring knives, don't know how to use it and they find it intimidating.
Right.
So I'd gone to show her, sharpen her knives, and she showed, the two little ones she used for everything. So I showed her how to use the chef's knife, and she emailed me a week later, and she's like, Lindsay, I have gone to the grocery store 3 times this week because I love that knife, I can't believe I haven't used it before.
With this one,
Yeah,
big
she
chef's
just
knife like
never,
that.
she didn't know how to use
Yeah,
it.
'cause they're afraid of it.
Another thing that you should pass on to your clients as well is sometimes, again, like my mom, they're intimidated by a big
Yes,
sharp
it's
knife.
scary.
They think it's unsafe when really, if it's sharp and you know how to control it, it's safe.
Yeah.
So when I go to my mom's house and she has this completely dull knife from, you know, the 70s or whatever the hell she has, and she says, you know, I feel safer with this, she doesn't understand that I'm telling her it's the opposite. When it's dull and you don't have control, that's when you slip and do something nasty.
You lose
The
your
fact that this stays sharp,
You force it more when it's dull.
you gotta force it more and then you're gonna slip. So you really gotta convince your customers that that is the case. You know, that's important, that it stays sharp and it's safer that way. Okay, so we do have a Macedon here and a Brunoise here, so I guess maybe later, I don't know, you zoom in or we can pass along the potatoes. Potato tartare, anyone? Anyone? There you go. A small, that's my new invention. That would be more Brunoise size here, yes. But I wouldn't recommend that preparation
Yeah,
either
you're
way.
not gonna wanna eat it,
Hey.
but how about a gratin? You can cut it, with our knife, you can get that super thin slice.
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
makes a
great.
difference, and it's cooking time.
Stella, you're so smart.
She's brilliant.
That's the smart one I did, right? I got some Brunoise in my Macedon. Yeah, you're right. For a gratin, when we say, you know, why are you squaring it off and making it all square all the way around? Which one did I do? For that, you can just kind of a little bit flatten off one side and kind of keep it circular. You know what I mean?
Right, but the trick is that they're even and they're thin, then they
Yeah.
cook correctly. I think a
gratin is intimidating because you don't get those potato slices right. It comes out under.
All
these
uneven,
are
yep.
gorgeous.
I know, they're
These are
lovely.
very beautiful.
Thank you.
They come
We're
out.
knife nerds, you know, we get really excited.
I hear you. Hey, listen.
And I'm coming from the cooking angle of that, you know, a gratin doesn't have to be intimidating. If you have
No.
the right knife, you can cut your potatoes in the right size.
And again,
so
you
that
can
they
cut them the right
properly.
size, super thin, if you've got this under
Right,
control.
Right.
If you're
got-
comfortable
That's
with
very
this, knife on knuckle. Maybe we should trademark that. That's pretty good.
Knife on knuckle.
Knife on knuckle theory of ours. Okay.
Hashtag knife on knuckle.
Hashtag this. It's just a function of time. Potato tartare. Anyone? No?
Yep.
You
What
do.
he returned.
So am I. Okay, we're gonna do an onion now, and I find that a lot of people chop off too much before the root. You want to kind of chop it close to the root, and it's gonna keep it intact as you do your thing. This really is a good knife. Still kind of surprised,
I love that you're surprised.
right? Isn't that a problem?
He's real. It's good.
This is not a paid endorsement.
Not getting paid? What? What?
All for the experience.
Oh, really? Thank you, Ash.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're gonna mince up an onion, and again, cutting it closer to the root, okay, so that the root is still removed, but it's not so far off that the onion's gonna fall apart, okay? And again, it's knife on knuckle. I just thought of that. That's pretty good.
So you just cut with the tip of the knife.
Exactly. So when I said that I had control of my knife, I'm really just using my tip to slice through the onion. No tears.
That's Cutco.
That's Cutco. Okay, it's pretty much minced after that. You saw I didn't go like 8 layers through. Really, I needed one cut. You can go through with another quick thing if you want, but not too much. We don't want to bruise it up. But that's it. No tears.
Nice and even, yeah.
It's sharp, nice and even, and that's that. Again, with an onion, you don't have to go, especially one that size. Size matters too, you know. You don't have to go 4 times in an onion that size. Really, you can just go down, 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 make one, and make it super fine. And again, I went through once or twice. I minced an onion in, 15 seconds. That's a really sharp knife. And when you tell your clients that, look, I did it without any tears, that's why you cry when you chop an onion. If your knife isn't sharp,
Yeah, making juice.
all that nice onion juice comes out.
You don't need the slap chop.
You don't need the slap chop. I don't think you need the slap
Yeah,
chop,
the
period.
slap
But
chop.
anyway,
You don't love my knife?
that's different.
It's like a little thing. Stupid.
Have you seen the Wham Bam guys?
Yeah, he's so annoying.
It's really
He's
good.
doing like little.
It's really good. How do you do that?
Knife on knuckle.
Yeah, no, I don't think that that's the only thing.
And a lot of cuts, I'm telling you. With our potato tartare. Thank you.
That makes a nice hash brown.
It just takes, again, this is an unnatural thing. And you've got to tell your customers, go slow, go steady, but don't, when you find yourself cheating, especially at the beginning, you want to cheat. You want to move your knife away from your knuckles and go like this, and you find yourself, you want to cheat. Just tell them not to cheat. Go slow, go steady, until next thing you know, it feels like second nature. That's the real name of the game.
Perfect little squared onion.
Let's do another one now. What's the other one you gave me, Ashley?
It's still amazing.
This is the one you gave me, right?
Yep.
That's a nice one.
Have you used that yet?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, this will be even more fun for us.
The
Check
maiden
out.
voyage, right?
Dun dun dun.
Oh wait, I should do one more thing with the big chef's knife first. Sorry. We'll have a maiden voyage soon. We'll have a maiden voyage soon. A nice chiffonade, right? It's on the paper, guys. It's on the paper. It's on the paper.
Oh, that's what you did today, Paula.
Yeah.
Paula did a chiffonade already?
She did with kale.
I'm out of here.
I didn't call it.
Thanks,
She
Paula.
called it tobacco roll.
Yeah.
She did. It's actually right in his long
She's
thing
from
here.
Kentucky. They have.
Ah, that explains it.
It even says roll leaves into cigar shape.
Well done, Paula.
You don't need me.
No.
Okay, we'll do it anyways, Paula.
I've never heard of that, so this is awesome.
That really is what you do. You're from Kentucky? A lot of tobacco there?
Well, that's sort of where it all started, yeah.
Thanks for that. I smoked for 10 years, so I appreciate it. Go Wildcats, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we're a little sad right now.
Oh, you guys out?
We didn't get
Never
it.
end.
Oh, sorry. Ouch.
There's milk there.
Rolling it up like a tobacco leaf here. Thank you, Paula. And again, knife on knuckle. Should be right before you serve it with a fresh herb, you know? Nice green tobacco.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Makes a nice garnish, right? Imagine that on a caprese salad. Like that's how you want it to look.
If you have a recipe that calls for dried basil and you want to use fresh basil, how do you change the amount? Is one stronger than the other?
Fresh is always more fragrant, more flavorful, to be honest with you. So, I don't really like dry herbs. A lot of them don't taste like anything, really, right? So where you can replace, I would recommend you do. In terms of quantity, it's hard to say really because, you know, it does take quite a bit of dry to make it taste like anything. So, you know, for me, the whole essence of an herb is that it's fresh, that it's floral, that it, you know, you can smell it. That's what it's there for. And then to have like, you know, dry basil or dry parsley, I don't understand it.
If a recipe called for dry though, and you used fresh, would you use less fresh than it called for dry?
I'd probably use a little bit less fresh, yeah. But especially, depending on the recipe, I've yet to try something with a really bright fresh herb like that was, I could smell it from here. I've yet to try something like, oh, this is too fresh. You know, go for it. Like, it tastes good, you know? And now the parsley. Sorry for telling you to bring 2 bunches, but, you know,
It's okay.
I wasn't thinking. Nice curly parsley. First time I chopped parsley in a restaurant for my chef, he saw me, he was like, whoa, man, no. I was like, but why? Everyone does this. You take your parsley and you go crazy, right? You just go to town. You take a break and you keep going. No. He told me, like, no. I said, why? I took a break. Everything's fine. With any fresh herb, you want to cut it as little as possible, okay? The more it doesn't matter if it's sharp, the more we're putting our blade through a fresh herb, the more we're hurting it. Like, we want it to be, but on the other hand, I want minced parsley. So what do? Again, we kind of roll it up like a cigar shape type thing. And it's harder to do than it is with a nice convenient basil leaf. But here I have all this loose parsley. I'm kind of bunching it up all together, rolling it back and forth and making this little convenient parsley bundle of freshness. I'll chop off the end here and just go real fine. I might stop to regroup and re-roll it a little bit to make sure everyone is still in the same pool. And again, I'll stop, recollect. It's already now, after one chop, because I've been practicing with my knuckle on my knife, it's already pretty fine. With one slice through. But we can take it a step further and twist it over and do it one more time. Again, you can stop to recollect a little bit. pretty fine.
Wow.
with two chops. Okay? The more we're going back and forth, we're beating it up, we're bruising it, but we want to keep it light, floral, nice.
Wow.
That's pretty fine for just 2 chops.
And that's with Capco.
Indeed it is. Yes, it is. Unless you guys trick me with something else.
Paste when you're cutting that stuff.
That's a pretty good demo to show
Fancy.
potential customers. That's a pretty good demo, right?
I can cut my shoe.
What recipe
What?
calls for that?
When people come by the booth, they're like, "Can you cut your shoe with it?" I'm like, "Do you eat shoes?"
What
It
recipe
depends
are
what
you
part of the
using?
states, I
Fly
guess,
shoe.
actually.
And they use
Sure,
press.
if you want.
It's like, can I get that recipe?
Oh, it's delicious.
Yeah, I gotta bring the bottom of it.
Yummy.
No, that is.
But I want to. Oh, you just want to see some stuff.
Okay, now the maiden voyage for this guy, right?
I just want to see.
Wow, thanks, Nacho, for thinking about that. See, it doesn't matter whether you're 100 or million rooms.
They're
You're
like-
always learning
I was
something.
like, what? Like,
Are you excited?
No, no, it's okay, please. I was
We
once
are
like you,
admiring your work.
goofing
Come on,
off in
we
the
are
back. That's
learning.
okay. I'm going to use this nice knife now to perle à vif. So basically, we want to take the best part of the citrus. Okay, I don't want any pith. I don't want anything. I'm just going to remove the individual segments. Okay. This is the maiden voyage for this one.
Yeah.
I like
Here
it.
we go.
I made it nice and flat. You're getting giddy at this, aren't you?
Yep.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Told you we're knife geeks, you know.
Yeah, we are really seriously knife geeks.
And I'm just going to move my way around the citrus. You could do it with grapefruit, orange, lemon, lime, whatever. You get it. And I'm going to use the tip. Going in a circular motion, you know?
Yeah, what do you think?
It's pretty sharp.
You don't even have to really saw. You can just go kaboom.
That's pretty sharp. I'm telling you.
Gets you excited.
It's surprising sometimes.
Okay? So we removed all the skin like that with our little serrated. We'd still do let the teeth do the work. Whenever I use a knife like this,
Double D's, not serrated.
That's a swear
What?
word at Cutco.
Not serrated.
it's not serrated.
Let's let him do his job. We're
Sorry.
harassing.
We'll educate you after.
What did I say wrong?
Nothing.
It's serrated.
It's not
We'll
serrated.
tell you about it in
Oh,
a
sorry,
minute.
sorry. Anyways, it's a great knife, and either way, we're going to use this nice little paring knife, which says for display only, but I'm going to go for it. We're going to cut in between the lines of the pith, okay? I don't want these walls of pith.
Been on the booth for a while.
Well, even if it wasn't, he would
And that is, if a chef says to you, perle à vif, me this lemon, you say, okay, I know what to do. I'm separating it from the walls
Didn't know there was a name for that.
Yeah, me neither.
and taking the good stuff. And you can see each level, I'm kind of scooping away the wall of evil. Get away from me, evil pith. And I'm in. Take the good stuff. Whoops. Sometimes you see a picture of like a citrus salad and they cut it like that way, but I don't like that because now I'm navigating through all the pith. So whenever I make a nice citrus-based salad, a blood orange salad,
Right, so you
or a
have to
grapefruit
peel off
salad,
that hard stuff.
I don't like that stuff. So I always perle à vif it.
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah. Something like that.
Where is it?
Speaks French over here. She's been
Ah,
hiding out.
Who does? Who's been?
Oh,
Oh,
no, I just can
That's
say
her
my name.
French right now.
I can
She's
ask
making
her
fun of
Est-ce que je peux aller à ta salle de bain?
I can say Pouchelé au toilette.
oh my.
That's it.
You don't say that.
Oh.
Can you write down the pronunciation
thank
and
you.
the meaning? No, the meaning we know, yeah.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Where should I put it?
My
Do you want another
son's
plate?
like 4 French and
Oh, that's
now I
okay.
have to really
Do it.
Yeah, I guess.
Just put it on here.
You did? It's so hard at home when you're French with a second language. I sucked at French, so now I have to do it again. I'm like, really?
You'll be better. You will be better. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to help. Yeah, it's helping me remember.
It's not a
I was born in
sound
Montreal. I was born in Montreal. Were you really?
That's probably pretty self-explanatory. But anyways, you can take a look, right?
Thank you, yeah. Pass it around. Are you coming out with this? Nice.
So again, I like that with a citrus salad or something like that. I know in a lot of food photography you see the citrus cut the other way.
Yeah.
But I just don't like that because then I have to eat the evil pith.
Yeah, one of those ones when I eat mandarin, I think like every little
Look
bit
at
of the white
that.
stuff off of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
Fancy.
grapefruit.
Gorgeous.
That would be
Even
much
though I
better
know it's
for the kale salad.
That's a good
It
idea.
would be much better done
Yes.
this way.
That's how I
Oh,
did it.
yeah, and that would really get some more knives out.
That's
Yes.
how I did it for.
Yeah.
I
But
thought
you
it
did
neat.
Was there
kinda do
citrus in
that,
that kale
though.
salad?
You
Was that
just
why?
did it in a
Yeah,
very
oranges.
different
Oh, yeah.
way.
Oranges,
Yeah, it's the same with an orange. You remove the skin and then just take the
Never
good stuff.
cut
Right?
that. What's that big thing? That's a leek?
This guy,
So
this is a
the
leek.
giant green sized onion.
This is a leek.
And it's
Pretty much.
a giant green onion.
Yeah.
Never
My.
used one in my life.
Really?
Never.
You never used a leek before?
I'm Italian. We had pasta and salad.
Well,
Doesn't answer the
what does that mean?
I don't know. We never prepared this in my life growing up. I've never.
You never had a leek?
Never.
That's phenomenal salad.
I've never had
It's
it.
so chicken and leek box teas for my
No, we
Irish
have
pub that I worked
Saute
at.
them in butter.
What?
Just saute them.
Yeah.
Butter.
I didn't
And
know
some
Italians weren't
bacon?
allowed to have leek.
And if you just never, I've never
I
had.
mean, maybe not butter
And
and
then I
bacon
had
together.
potato and
So good. It's a giant.
If you leave it round and
sounds
just put it in the
delicious.
pan, it gets so nice and green and it looks so pretty.
I've
in the
never
pan.
made it myself. I've eaten it, but
It looks like the Jolly Green Giant's green onion. Like it's giant size. I love it.
What?
I'm really tired, okay?
I hear ya.
It's
I
been
hear ya.
really, this is fun.
She's delusional, so don't
I
worry
am
about
probably
it.
a little bit, yeah.
Just in general or like just today or
Probably a mixture of, maybe a mixture of both.
depending?
No.
But it's so important to chop so fine like this,
Right.
otherwise
It's probably
hard to
hard
eat.
and fibrous because it's so big.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuchsia
That really is a
No.
good knife.
What is it?
Right?
Oh, my mom likes that, yeah. I
pretty
have
nice.
these on top.
And then we did a julienne earlier with the potato, which was pretty, you could envision how that would turn into a julienne. We just made it into, But some stuff like leek also, you turn into a julienne. Or a green onion. A lot of the time a nice garnish is when you take, this is essentially a giant green onion,
Yeah.
but, right? But imagine, a green onion and then you have the dark part of that green onion. And a lot of the time I'll julienne it and people don't know what it is. Like it makes for a beautiful garnish. People say, what is that? It's a green onion. But they just wouldn't think to cut it like that because you essentially cut off the top of the green part. I'll do it with this actually. This mystery leek.
Take down the beanstalk.
And it makes a nice garnish. Not so much with leek, but more of a green onion, but
Right.
It's pretty.
it looks pretty. So it's important. Again, I guess the moral of the story here is the whole knuckle on knife thing. And if you can relay that on to your clients, well, the knife will take care of the rest. Like this is a really impressive sharp knife. Thank you.
You have to pay me.
It's a greedy bunch here.
You pay me $10.
What?
So he's the-
Wash your fingers.
Salespeople, can't you tell?
What's she bringing?
That's the surface.
Service.
And this is the last girlfriend, for sure.
Oh.
I mean, the Cutco knife.
You guys are wacky.
We sell knives for a living. You have to be wacky.
I guess so.
No.
So really that is a reflection of the sharpness of the knife. Like you can't do that with
And could you say
It's
that,
all knife.
I mean, for an average cook, a home cook, they can have these types of elevated skills without going to the French Culinary Institute, like you did. But
They
like
could.
what you did, using this knife, they can create this type of end product.
I really think if you drive it home for them to practice that skill of keeping this attached and
With
tell
the
them
balance and the sharpness of the knife. 'Cause
The
I
sharpness
know
of the knife
for
will take care of it.
myself, doing a julienne now or a chiffonade,
Yeah.
is much easier than it was before. I'm not clumsy with it.
You can
I'm able
trust-
to-
You can trust the sharpness of the product. It's
Yeah.
obviously a good product. So as long as they keep their knuckle on their knife and slowly get
And
used
using
to,
more than just a paring knife.
and using more than just a paring knife.
Paring knife is for paring.
And trusting the fact that, you know, this is actually pretty safe. Like, it's
Yeah.
not gonna hurt them,
It's
even though it
much-
looks
it's
like,
Really good in potato soup.
This is
looks like
for-
it will,
This is
right?
gorgeous, by the way. This makes me
Right?
want to
Look on my blog, and there's a really good recipe on my blog. The best potato soup. I didn't come up with it.
So you're rocking.
So do we wanna bring anyone up to,
Sure.
we can, if anyone wants to have a go with her, I won't mind. We haven't developed a close relationship
Not
yet.
only are you cheating on your girlfriend, but you're gonna pass around your new
Yeah, I'll
girlfriend.
pass around the new one, right?
Wow.
That's okay.
Very relationship.
But yeah, again, that's probably the biggest takeaway, that because it is a good product, because it is an actually very impressively sharp knife, that as long as they get used to this and slowly moving, I mean, when I'm doing that, I'm slowly moving my knuckle away and the knife, I'm moving it along, okay? Takes a little bit of practice. It takes a little of getting used to, you know? It almost looks like it's not moving at all, but slowly my knuckle is moving back, my knife is moving back, it's rocking back and forth. It just takes a little bit of practice, but they won't hurt themselves as long as they do this. You should tell them that there will be a temptation for them to cheat. There will be, especially as they're getting started, there will be a temptation for them to grab and, you know, and to even go like this, because this is easier. Hey, look, I'm not doing anything. Tell them to fight that temptation. Get used to this motion and trust the quality of the product, and they'll be okay.
Yeah, she's safer though, because you know where the knife is at all times.
Do you guys all cut like that?
Well, I put it back farther.
I
too.
try
really
really
hard.
hard.
Yeah, I mean, it depends too.
No,
know?
but we are
No,
kind of
but I do
holding
a lot
it,
of times
and then when we
do
get near the end, we're not gonna take off our finger.
I do the second thing you said, that's still not good.
I tell you what, when you are doing that though,
Yeah, that's what we kind of do.
right? When you do this, you also don't really have control on the thinness of
Totally.
Dan product.
Yeah.
So when you look at that julienne, like it's all nice, even julienne, because my knuckle isn't just, you know, keeping me safe, it's guiding where the blade is going.
Right.
When I'm back here, I'm not guiding anything. I'm just kind of, you know, I don't know where I'm.
I think for me, even as comfortable as I am with my knives, I still know how damn sharp they are, and that scares me.
And we haven't had that training, right? Like,
Yeah.
True. You know, I know. I hear you. You might cut yourself.
go Tyler.
As you get more comfortable. Like, I'm telling you, the first 3 weeks of my culinary school, we had these blue Band-Aids and these, like, these finger
Finger
condoms.
Yeah.
Oh man, like 3 on each finger, and I couldn't, like, do up my shirt. It was weird.
But I can,
But you get used to it.
I can say I'm teaching.
President.
I'm teaching my son to cook right now.
Yeah.
And we started out with 3 basics, and we're doing the knuckle.
Yeah.
But what I'm teaching him is don't worry about speed, worry about control. Go
Yeah.
Very, very slow. He has not had a single cut. Now, I cut myself twice trying to show him. But,
Well done.
you know, if when you go slow and you're holding the knife
You'll be okay.
correctly and you know that it's hitting your hand,
Yep.
you'll be fine, because you're not only seeing it, you're feeling it as well.
Agreed. You have to trust
It's not
that
about
this is keeping you safe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even
I
though
totally
you're
understand.
very close to a very sharp
Yeah.
knife, I understand that initial temptation. We're like, wait a second, my hand is right beside this extremely sharp blade. But it is for a reason. Like, it's keeping
Yeah.
you, as long as you keep it tucked back, you're okay. I absolutely agree. You should start going slow. And when I had my first really bad cuts, it was because I was seeing the guys
Go fast.
going fast, and I said, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then there goes the top of my thumb.
And that's what when I teach my customers to use it, some of them get excited right away how easy it is.
Right.
And so they start going fast, and they're like,
That's
oh,
no good.
and I'm like, you're not in the Food Network, just slow down.
Go slow.
You know, and then they're like, okay, you know, and
Yeah.
I have to convince them to go
Yeah,
slower.
I think that, I mean, just in the food industry, fast is like it. You know, when you see someone
Sure.
with knife skills, it's always, and you hear that noise,
Right.
you know, versus when you're in your real kitchen, you know, it's not, the end of the day is safe and balanced and
And we're not-
ease of use.
And you're not prepping for a
Yeah,
dinner
we're not
service of
feeding
100.
people.
You know,
Right.
that's the
Like,
difference.
I
So you
teach my
can go
clients
slow.
to put their hand on top and chop, because they're coming from the paring knife and they're holding the carrot you know, and their hands are in there. And so I'm like, do this, and now let me show you this. And I make it really simple. I hold the knife down on the board, and I'm like, just go up and down so that you can feel
Right.
that motion.
Exactly. The
Because they
rocking
don't even know
motion
how
is
to do
important.
that.
The
right?
rocking motion is important as well, to
Yeah.
let them know that a lot of this includes keeping the tip on the board,
Yes.
and it's about rocking back and forth.
Rocking back and
okay?
forth.
If you rock back and forth, keep this attached, you're in a happy place. Like, things are going to happen for you.
And
Okay?
our
This is dangerous unless you've really honed your skills now. Sometimes you see a chef and they've got, like, you know, whatever, a cucumber, and they're going,
I had a kid do that at my booth yesterday. He was 12 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
was he like this, attached?
He was unbelievable. He took the knife and he went like you.
That's cool.
Attached. Amazing.
That's not the way you want to do it at
No.
first, is what I'm saying.
Oh no.
You know, you don't want to start with your clients and say, okay, don't worry guys, we're safe because we're touching.
No
Like,
way.
let's go. Let's start with a rocking motion, and slowly but surely, once you get used to this, once this starts to feel right, you're gonna start like dancing in the kitchen and talking to your buddy, and you know.
Huh.
Yes.
Is there, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but is there a vegetable that you can think of that is really awkward or difficult to cut that you have an easy method for?
That's really where it comes down to squaring it off. It really depends on, you know, even a carrot is circular and a potato is kind of awkward and whatever. When a squash is tricky actually. Yeah. When I was squaring off the potato, I was kind of doing it exaggerated so that we can make nice perfect cubes. But even if you just take a little bit off, like, you know, you really can't notice. It's just making it safer and firm, and you know, it's not going to roll around on you. It's tough when it's still rolling around, you know.
So as a chef, do you have chef knives that you chop with that have those little grooves on side so the food doesn't stick to it, or you don't mind a shape like this? Because
Like this
sometimes,
one?
yeah, people say that they are looking for the one with those wedges.
Oh,
on
Yeah,
it's
the
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
scalloped in there or something.
Yeah. I have no preference for those. I really like these
Nice.
clean, clear blades.
I didn't know that they do it.
Some people, you know, some chefs have a preference for that. Some chefs have a preference for balance or whatever.
And some
I
people
really
just
think
like
it's all
to
just
talk and
up there.
pretend they are experts.
Yeah, you know, if it's gonna get it done, if it's gonna allow me to make precision cuts like I made, then I don't care if it has the dimples there, and I don't care, you know, if it balances or whatever. It feels good in my hand and stays sharp and can,
That's
again,
your girlfriend.
that's my new girlfriend. If it allows me to make those precision cuts, then I'm okay with it. You know? So a lot of chefs really are about, it's not superstition, but it's their preference, and I have to have this and I have to have that. At the end of the day, the objective is I want to cut things super fine, super even, consistent every time. Well, I just did it, you know?
Yeah.
And it feels good. So for me, pass my test, you know? It's
Yeah.
okay. Other chefs not so much, but then again, you know, other chefs have tattoos on their necks and whatever, so depends on your judgment, I suppose.
Some went to Schulich.
So, yeah. That's different. So, I don't know. It's up to you guys if you wanna.
We've got about 5 minutes left, so if you've got any more questions,
If you have any
or
questions, or you
anybody
want to
wanna come
brunoise
up and
something,
try
or you
anything?
want to eat a raw leek for the first time. Yes.
For your chef, they usually use the Gemini and Japanese knives.
Yes.
They
That's
have to
most
sharpen
common.
the knife every day before they use it because they doubt.
Usually, once a week, you'll take the.
Once a week.
Usually,
Not
once a
every
week,
day.
you'll take the knife to a stone and give it a good sharpen. Between tasks, you'll give it a quick
Yeah.
sing,
Yeah.
sing, 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 and keep going, right? That isn't really sharpening it. It's just kind of making it fresh, keeping it aligned, and like, okay, I'm back to work, right?
Fibers back
But-
and forth.
I would say once a week, you're gonna invest half an hour of your time with a whetstone,
Okay.
strokes and back, and
Yes, sure.
keeping it nice
We
and
got
sharp.
the
right?
answer. They need sharpen. We don't.
So these don't need to be sharpened, is what you're telling me.
No.
Well, that
They
edge
do.
we all
That's
jumped
all.
on you about
They
is
do.
it's a double D edge. It's called our double D edge. It's a recessed straight edge. The one you cut the lemon with,
The serrated then.
the one that
That's
looks
not
serrated
serrated.
to you.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
she's
double
saying.
D.
Gotcha.
It's a
Double
recessed
D.
straight, several recessed straight edges.
Ah.
They don't need sharpening very often, but ours, those
Those
straight
ones
edge
do.
you would
These
sharpen.
ones are.
Yeah.
But not every week. We don't need
Oh, yeah.
to sharpen.
So I can actually run my finger across
Well,
this?
not to,
Don't push in.
don't push in, but.
But you
yeah.
can allow the
Because
top
that's
to
what's
hit into it.
protecting when
Cool.
you're cutting on the board, and that's why they say sharp. 7%.
In case of the people come to the booth, is this sharp? Oh, it's
I had a guy cut his finger round, like really deep. This sharp on the slicer.
Ah.
Oh, I know.
know.
Squirting blood.
No, I have nothing else to do. I'm here with dull
Like,
knives.
okay, dumb. Isn't that your favorite? Are these sharp knives? No, we sell the dull ones, ma'am.
Yeah.
The sharp ones are over there.
We have nothing else to